It is Wednesday, my dudes, and you know what that means? It is time once again to revisit Adventure Woods Planet Coaster series on this channel in which I construct a theme park called Adventure Woods and film that entire thing, time-lapse it in my video editing software, and then talk for 50 minutes for this episode. It's a long one. I'm not gonna beat around the bush here. I don't know how I'm gonna get through this, but I think we're gonna get through this together. For me, it's pretty late. It's a Tuesday. I was about to say, oh, it's Wednesday, but no, it's Tuesday. I know I'm a bit sad that I'm that one day further away from Friday, eh? But yeah, I've just done it. I did it. I did the thing. I built the roller coaster. We're building a roller coaster in today's episode, and that's it. So buckle in for the next 50 minutes, because this was the exciting part of the episode. But hey, I think it turned out pretty well. Obviously, a lot of smoothing needs to be done. We're going to be doing lots of smoothing to this roller coaster's layout, but that's the layout there. Fairly short because it's going to be a junior, well, I mean, it is a junior coaster. Now, before I get on talking about that, what was I talking about before? It is a Tuesday night for me, yes, and I've got to talk for 50 minutes somehow. So, yeah, let's buckle in and let's just get right to it. So, what are we doing in today's episode of Adventure Woods? Well, I'm glad you asked. We're going to be building a roller coaster, as already discussed. And yeah, it's this little spit of land behind the Helion ring. Now, I did sort of mention this in last Wednesday's episode of Adventure Woods, and I'm guessing you guys have probably seen last Wednesday's episode because you should watch this episode in chronological order, I guess, is what I'm trying to say there. So, and I mentioned that I'm building a roller coaster in today's episode, and I already kind of went through the thesis that I needed to fill in this little area of land behind the Helion ring. Is it the Helion? I think it's the Gravitron ring, actually. I don't know. The loop-de-loop ride. I didn't know how to fill in this space. I played around with a couple of different ideas. One was a play area, which obviously not going to happen now because I've already built the adventure play area somewhere else. I then thought about a big restaurant, and I couldn't really make one that fit really nicely. And then I thought maybe a different flat ride, but then I thought that might overshadow the other flat ride, the ring. I don't know what it's called there. So in the end, I thought we could maybe squeeze some sort of compact roller coaster in here. And I thought, it just seems a bit small, but we'll give it a go. And hey, I think this turned out pretty well. So it's the Wendigo style junior coaster. I think I love this game. Obviously, you know, I'm willing to tank my entire YouTube channel standing in the algorithm in order to play this game and showcase the footage to you guys. So I do love this game genuinely. But one of the little annoyances I have, among many, e.g. the path system, but one of the other annoyances I have is that there's no generic themed junior coaster. Like, it's either a big dragon car or a weird bug thing. I mean, this is called the Wendigo, this carriage type, but it's obviously not a Wendigo because that would be horrifying if it really were. A Wendigo is like a man with a deer antlers. I think it's a Native American myth / legend. To be honest, I'm not quite sure. I've just seen Hannibal, the TV show, and I've read that creepypasta thing on Reddit that everyone's read about Wendigos. So, yeah, if you haven't read that, though, hey, check that out. It's and you'll never ever want to go up a flight of stairs in the woods ever again. I might have unlocked a memory for some of you now. But yeah, there's a subreddit called No Sleep, and some of the stuff, if you search by top of all time, is top notch. Like, these guys need to be writing books. Maybe they are, and they're just moonlighting on Reddit to, like, I don't know, unwind, just spill out some of their creative juices in a way that doesn't sound weird. They're doing that. But yeah, two of the standouts for me are I don't know what the posts are called, but one is like my stories as a forestry rescue worker. That's it has a cooler name than that. And the left-right game. My goodness, the left-right game, that would be one heck of a movie if they ever adapted that. So those are my two recommendations there. The other Reddit story that I really enjoyed, I realize now I'm not talking about anything that's on screen, but hopefully the footage can do the talking for me. Another Reddit story I was really invested in. I remember reading this story as it came out back in, I feel like it was 2017 this story was coming out, but basically there's a subreddit called Writing Prompts where the clue is in the name. Someone makes a post saying, make a story about this. I then on the spot tried to think of something. I've actually submitted something to Writing Prompts. I said, twist a protagonist to make them the antagonist or something like a prompt to do a short story. This prompt in particular was that you wake up, everyone is gone or frozen, I can't remember exactly, but everyone is gone, and you just have words tattooed on your arm saying, "You're our last hope, please save us." And then that's the prompt. And this guy made, or lady, I don't remember, wrote this amazing story about I can't describe it. It's like about like, I don't want to spoil anything. So like learning about physics and all of mankind's knowledge. It's amazing. You go and try and Google that. Try and figure out how to Google the vomit of words I just spilled forth into this microphone. It's very good. It's very good. Beth, if you're watching, I know you like reading. Me and Beth, my girlfriend, often proof watch these videos together. Hello, Beth. And she's got big into reading at the moment. She's between jobs at the moment, so she's got a lot of free time, and she's been buying lots of leather-bound books. So she just bought a Winnie the Pooh book and a Charles Dickens book, and she's been reading them. But Beth, forget about your weird, nerdy books. Read these stories on Reddit. They're better. They're more epic. And etc., etc. The narwhal bacons at midnight. Who remembers that? Not me, apparently. I think I probably butchered that quote. That was like one of those cringe Reddit. That was like when Reddit was like peak Reddit and it hadn't quite reached that level of self-awareness. So it was like, I don't remember which subreddit it was. Maybe Ask Reddit. One of the like generics. It might even be a defunct subreddit at this point. But it was like, is there a way we can like communicate in public and let other people know that we're Reddit? This is so cringe. And like a phrase you can say to a person you suspect is a Redditor and they'll understand, but they'll only understand it if they are indeed a Redditor. And I think it's like the bacon calls the narwhal at midnight. Something completely doesn't make any sense, but it includes bacon and narwhals, and that's and everyone was like, yeah, let's go for it. And now we all look back and think, wow, that was like ultra cringe. I feel like this was like 2013. No, it's probably later than that. Maybe like 2014, 2015. Everyone collectively realized that was very cringe, and now Reddit is very, very mainstream. So it doesn't really have that same sort of treehouse club that it used to, and it probably never did. I feel like Reddit is the I'm not like other girls of internet websites. I don't know why I needed to clarify internet websites, but you know what I mean. It's one of those little cringe things. But I remember being there. I've been a Redditor since 2012, I think. I knew about Reddit when I was in sixth form, which I think is like the end of high school for Americans. I was like 16, 17 at the time. I knew about Reddit. I had no idea what it was. And then a friend at university, Reese, if you're watching this video, you're probably not, but if you are, I credit you, said, hey, you should get into Reddit. It's really great. And now I'm super into Reddit. And I feel like that was in my first year of university. So it would either have been in 2012, that's when I started the academic year, or 2013, which is where I lived out most of my academic first year. Because I started in September 2012, right? So then that's only September, October, November, December, so 4 months, and then the rest of the academic year is in 2013. So you know what I mean? It could be 20. I don't know why I'm getting so bogged down into all of this, but yeah, I feel like there was something when I was talking about that just then. There was something I said that made me think, oh, I could tangential on that for a bit whilst I let the footage. I mean, what can I talk about? Do you guys like this custom fencing? By the way, I'm really happy with how this came out. The red chain link fencing. It looks really great. I always try and make things in Planet Coaster that look like they're part of Theme Maker's Toolkit or don't look like they're part of stock Planet Coaster. And for the record, in case anyone missed the episode in which I outlined this, there is no Theme Maker's Toolkit. There's no modded parts. This is all stock. There's DLC, but there's no tomfoolery here. Everything is just, you can download Planet Coaster and all of the DLCs, and you'll be able to do anything I build in this video. So that's I'm just really happy with how this the fencing came out, because it's like the normal chain link fencing, but it's sunk into the ground. And the way I built it, it kind of looks like a lower height chain link fence than what you can build by default. I guess, or like build in terms of how the game expects you to use those chain link fence pieces. Anyway, yeah, one of the things I mentioned was like when I was describing that I was in sixth form and I didn't really know how to describe that to Americans. And now you guys, you wonderful people that watch this series, but you guys, now you understand the struggle of idiot Europeans like myself. Because I'll like be talking to American people. I'm like, well, because I'm an international celebrity, of course. I like that was sarcastic, by the way, but yes, because I'm an international man of the century, I talk to a lot of Americans and stuff. And whenever we talk about things that happened in our youth, they'll be like, "Oh yeah, I was a sophomore when this happened," and I'm like, "Cool." So I've got no idea how old you were when this happened. Like, I know there's like sophomore and freshman and senior and second grade and fourth grade. I have no idea what any of these terms mean. I'm guessing just through like my knowledge of the English language. Oh, by the way, I'm finally replacing that weird pile of rocks outside the dragon coaster. You know, I mentioned that a couple of episodes back. Now I'm doing it. Anyway, yes, I feel like through my knowledge of the English language, like I'm guessing freshman, because in the UK we have freshers for first year of university. I'm guessing freshman is first year of college, or is it first year of high school? It might be first year of high school actually, but I'm guessing it's the first year of something, right? That's freshman. No idea about sophomore. I got nothing. But the other one I know about is senior. So I'm guessing sophomore must be second year and senior is final year. That's my guess. I don't know if these apply to high school or if it's college, or do college have sophomore as well? It's like the cycle begins anew, so you start high school at age 14 and you're a freshman, and then you're sophomore, then you're senior, and then you do college like / university, and then you're freshman, sophomore, and senior again. But then like a lot of courses, at least in the UK universities, are 4 or even 5 years. Like medicine is 5 years. So then what do you do? It's a very foreign place. Well, I guess it literally is foreign because I don't live in the US, but like it's an alien world. It's a different way of life, you Americans. And now you guys know whether when I'm just putting out there as a PSA that we don't really know what you mean when we ask how old you were and you say you're a sophomore. I've got no idea. So I know that someone in the comments, some kind soul in the comments, is now going to write this big comment about explaining all these tiers with the best of intentions. And I'm going to look at that and think, oh, thank you, kind soul. Now I know. And then I will just not remember that and continue to live my life until the day I die, not knowing what a sophomore is. And yeah, that's that. What am I doing right now? Let's just move back to talking about what's on screen for once. Hey, how about that? I'm just building the sign. You know, I've got the exit only sign here, and I'm going to put another one on the other side. That's how you know there you see. So I remembered that. I remembered that when I built it. And also I've edited this footage together and like time-lapsed it before doing the commentary, so I know these things. And also I called this First Flight because I couldn't think of anything, you know. It's not a great name. I'm not that happy with it, but really I don't care about the names of the roller coasters in this park. I just like building them, and I'm like, oh, whatever. To hell with it with the name. It's fine. Can I say the word hell, actually? Is that considered a slur? It's ironic I slurred the word slur. Is it like a slur when you say the word hell? I shouldn't keep saying it. That word, that negative afterlife location. The damage is done now. I'm just like stalling for time, trying to think of things to talk about, because I realize we're not very far into this commentary in the grand scheme of things. I'm now there we are, 14 minutes in, and it's like 45 minutes. I said earlier, I think it's 50 minutes, but then I noticed there was like some glitches with the editing, so I like cut that out. So now we're down to 45 minutes. So yeah, what is there to talk about? I mean, I feel like this roller coaster is like pretty much finished. What on earth is going to be contained in the next however long? Well, I know there's going to be a POV. Hopefully the POV is like half an hour and I can just relax and not do any commentary. But in reality, that's not going to be the case. I guess, actually, I do know. I remember now. Because, as mentioned, I did actually edit this footage before doing the commentary. We've got to build the station building, which is what I'm building here. And we're going to build a restaurant. And, I did the big thing. I did the big 4 billion IQ move and remembered what I said last episode, and that was that this episode and last episode is like a self-contained series in the Adventure Woods series, and that last episode I began by doing random things, but then the main part of the episode was me building a steam train station, and then I started another steam train station for the other station of the railway line, and I stopped. And then I did what you've just seen the last 15 or so minutes, me building this roller coaster. And then I'll finish the roller coaster, do a few more things. I'll build a big restaurant and a seating area and do some fencing and other things. And then I shall finish that second steam train station. And it's like they rhyme. I finish the 2-episode mini-series within this series that is called Adventure Woods, series in which I build a theme park called Adventure Woods in the game Planet Coaster. Am I getting deja vu? That's because I already said this and wasn't that funny. It wasn't really that funny, but I'm struggling to think of things to talk about now. I talked about Reddit for a while, and the fact that I don't understand American educational ages, and now that's it. I'm done. So I'm just going to sit here in silence now. That was a little joke, by the way. But it does, perplex me. There are a lot of Planet Coaster YouTubers, actual channels dedicated to playing Planet Coaster, that will just not commentate over their videos. They'll just talk for a bit about, hey guys, this one. So I'm going to do an example now of what's happening on screen right now, but it wouldn't be time-lapsed in the example I'm giving. Hey guys, I'm just building some fencing around the roller coaster stations. That's what we're going to do. Stop the guests falling off the station platform. And yeah. And then, there's 5 minutes of just either silence or that theme tune for Planet. I love the Planet Coaster theme song. The one that goes. That was probably very out of tune. Ba da 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 da. Right. So that, now I've humiliated myself. You guys know what I mean. That song, I liked it at first, but every single Planet Coaster YouTuber out there spams that song. It's the only song they use in their videos, and they'll like I say, they talk for a couple of seconds, and then you have to listen to that tune again for the rest of the video. And their video is part of a 50-part series where they build a single ride, and it's just talk for the whole thing. I am an expert in all of this. To be fair, I'd like to think I'm maybe an authority figure in YouTube, right? Because I do have a fair amount of subscribers. We've got more than 500,000. So yeah, but I do enjoy watching. It sounded really narcissistic and horrible just then, but I'm just saying, I really enjoy watching Planet Coaster content on YouTube because I learn things, from watching players who are much better at this game than I am, and just looking at other players. Everyone's got their own style, I think, when building things in this game, and it's nice watching other players play and seeing what styles they have for building stuff. But it's very frustrating when they'll I don't know, their videos are just really long and they don't commentate over it, and you just have to sit there watching it in a very slow-paced time-lapse with that theme song playing over and over again. So I end up just not watching it. So there you are. If you're a Planet Coaster YouTuber and you want to enhance the quality of your content, or at least make it more distinguished from the rest of Planet Coaster YouTube, then do that. Stop. Don't just spam the theme song. Commentate. Have some pride in yourself. I mean, look at me. This whole commentary, this whole video has been one train wreck of an experience. So there's really no real quality bar when it comes to Planet Coaster commentary. So just keep me entertained, and that's it. That's the end of that. So, if, unlike me, you have been watching the footage on screen, you will have seen that I have finished the roller coaster completely now, and I've done the station and the queue line and all the fencing, etc. And now I'm building a little restaurant, and I'm going to build a rib shack and a toilet block, to be fair, because I don't know, I like to just go through the park and just check what brands I've put in at this point. So I've done a hot dog squad, I think. I've done a pizza pen. I've done a chief beef. And so I thought, hey, how about a just ribbon, whatever it's called. And now I've moved away. So that's why I couldn't remember what it was called, because I've now moved away. And I put in a little vending machine cubby sort of thing. I was looking at some Google Street View of Alton Towers. Hey, a theme park I never talk about in this series. Yeah, a lot of big theme parks, there's like a guy who walks around with a big 360 camera and it's uploaded to Google Street View so you can look around the park. Brilliant resource, by the way. Again, if you're a Planet Coaster YouTuber, you don't need this advice as much as I do, though, to be fair, because you're probably much better than me, because I feel like the quality bar for Planet Coaster content on YouTube is very high. Like, even like the small Planet Coaster YouTube channels, it's like, oh my gosh, you're amazing at this game. Like, it is great. But for any layman watching this series that wants to get better at Planet Coaster, there's a little top tip. You can go on Google Maps in any sort of big park, like your Disney's or Six Flags is, or your Alton Towers is. There's usually Street View that you can look at. And a lot of things I noticed about, well, I noticed that the Alton Towers Street View has a lot of little things like this, like a little sheltered area with some vending machines. And so that's what I'm sort of emulating there. That's that was the muse for this little section of the park. And now I'm going back to finishing the Just Ribbon restaurant. It's going to be an outdoor only restaurant. Obviously, there's no indoor space because there really isn't that much space for this restaurant. Like, it's going to be a fairly sizable building, but you got to remember there's going to be a storeroom, big fridges, ovens, etc. All of that eats up a lot of space. There really isn't that much room, so I decided to not build an interior to this restaurant. I decided that we just build an exterior stall sort of thing where guests go up and buy stuff in the, I don't know, path-facing storefront. I'm building a little gate here, by the way. And then they can walk to another seating area to actually consume their food that they have bought. And I'll be building that in this episode, but with a little bit of a twist that, well, not twist, but with a little bit of a caveat that I built a placeholder bit and then I'll go back and make a better one. So you might see me, if I forget to continue looking at the screen and I'm ending up talking about some Reddit story or some other thing and I don't get to talk about it at the time, I'm letting you know ahead of time that I basically build a placeholder seating area, but I don't show the building of that because why would I just crossfade across and suddenly it's just there, and then I'll later on go back and demolish it, and then now you're prepared so you know why some random patio area is built and I never showed the building of that. It wasn't an editing mistake, it's just that's just how I roll. And yeah, how about 22 minutes? Oh, we've got like half the video to go. What is there to talk about? I'm now racking my brain trying to think. I did have a pretty traumatic day today. Well, it wasn't traumatic, actually. It was just a fun old day. It was very, very windy, very, very rainy. I was meant to go mountain biking after work today, but we decided among me and my two friends that go mountain biking together, we were like, it's a bit rainy, it's a bit windy, let's not go, it won't be very fun. So I was like, yep, okay, fine. So I'll ride my commuter bike to work. I still cycled to work for some goodness knows why reason, and the way home was pretty treacherous. You know, like, now that the clocks have changed in the UK, we got it's I don't know what it's called in the UK, but in the US you guys call it daylight savings time. I think in the UK it's just called, actually I don't know, I just froze. I froze in panic. I was like, oh, I don't know. But regardless, the clocks change. So basically we have more daylight hours in the morning to help people get up easier. And like, I've heard that it's to do with farmers, like it's because farmers have to get up earlier. But I've heard since then that actually that's a bit of a old wives' tale. It's not really true. It's just one of those myths that everyone thinks accepts, but it's not actually the case. So I have no idea where it comes from. The other one I've heard is that it was some rich toff that had power in the government. He wanted to play golf a bit earlier, and so he just set up this entire system of daylight savings time in the UK just to be able to play golf earlier. And I believe that, you know, our government is a load of people. I've not got many nice things to say about them. And we are also the laughing stock of the world right now. You Americans, you know, you voted in an orange what's-it for a president. And you've been pretty much of a laughing stock. You know, I'm not going to lie. I'm just saying it's been pretty funny. And we looked at that, us Brit bongs, and we were like, this won't do. We've got to outdo them somehow. So we voted in. We didn't vote in. The government that we voted in decided to put forth a prime minister that did a terrible job. Liz Truss, she became prime minister. She killed the Queen. She tanked the economy, destroyed the pound, refused to elaborate, and then she left. And now we've got another guy, Rishi Sunak, who I've not got high hopes for. I've heard there's already talks about a vote of no confidence for him and he might be out by Christmas, which of course is past for you guys. Maybe he's gone again, or he's gone as well, and we're in an even worse, more laughable position than we were before. So, yeah, Americans, we've got that bond. We've got that bond between us where, regardless of what you think about Liz Truss and Donald Trump, it's kind of it's a subject of mockery for the rest of the world. So we've got that going for us, haven't we? Anyway, bit of a tangent. I said that we've changed our clocks to, I'm going to go with the American term now, daylight savings, and that means that the atmosphere, the ambiance is very bright in the morning, so it's great. It helps you get up earlier. Doesn't help that I've got blackout curtains. It makes no difference to me. But after work, it's all very dark, and cycling home in the pitch black is kind of a scary thing. And I'm going to resume this little story after I've shown you guys a POV, because I thought, hey, you made it this far. You made it 25, best part, 26 minutes in. You deserve this. I'm going to show you a POV of the ride that we've built so far, so do enjoy. I'm going to be quiet now for the remainder of it. And yeah, I'm actually very happy with how that ride's layout came out. And yeah, it's pretty short. In the final version of that ride, there will be 2 laps, so it will do 2 laps of the track before the ride ends. And yeah, I'm really happy with it. And actually, I made the joke earlier at the very beginning of the video that, like, hey, 50 seconds in, I've now finished the ride. But that wasn't really true, because it was very rough and not smoothed out at all. And I think now it's really, really nice and fun to ride. And obviously, I'm really happy with the surrounding scenery and the smoothing that I did. And yeah, for me, it's like one of my favorite. I mean, I guess actually I like all of the rides in this park, but I really do like it. It's got a bit of a special place in my heart, and I think it came out really well. It definitely achieved what I wanted it to achieve when I conceived that roller coaster. Now here we are, all the way back in episode 10, episode X. Let's give it the respect it deserves. That train wreck of an episode, and that was a pun, because I built a train station, right? I'm obviously struggling here, aren't I, guys? Yeah, I'm finally, after all of these days, gonna finish the train station that I started in episode 10. And this is me doing that here. And I mentioned this in episode 10, but I'm gonna say it again. This was like, so there are 2 train stations in this park, or at least when I say train stations, I mean steam train stations. There are a couple of monorail stations, obviously. No, there is not. There is 1 monorail station and a backstage tour station. Whoops, did I say that out loud? Yeah, there's going to be like I'm going to build a hotel in this park, and there's going to be like, you guys know the backstage tour ride, the little bus thing? There's going to be 2 stations that go from the main entrance to the hotel, purely for the aesthetics. It's not going to be functional, but like, yeah, that involved building a station. So I'm just saying, there are 2 stations that serve this steam train in this park. The first station I built was based on like traditional British steam train stations, specifically the ones I like googled, the one like Welsh train station, because Wales has got some really nice old preserved train stations that have been adapted for more high-speed railway, like a lot of the ones in England have been adapted to. And yeah, they're just like, there's more like little village train stations to that in Wales. Just saying, that was the muse for that one. This one was more of an American West train station. So yeah, a lot of more like wooden structure, and that's it actually. That's it. But the railings around the platform is wooden, for example. I channeled a lot of Red Dead Redemption. What's the word? Inspiration. There we are. You get it. It's half an hour in. We're half an hour in. We still got like a significant amount of content to talk over. So yeah, I'm gonna just leave in all the things I'm trying to struggle to think of, because I've really got to drag this out in some way or another, haven't I? And yeah, the muse for this train station was like a Red Dead Redemption 2 style train station that was in turn based on the American West. I'm just cloning over these benches here. I mentioned this in the last episode, but benches in Planet Coaster, you can't actually place them unless they're on a path piece, and these station platforms are completely artificial. I mean, I guess actually all platforms are artificial, aren't they? But like, this is non-functional. It's all just here for decoration. There's no path here that guests can actually walk up and down. So these benches in turn, there's no path for me to place them on. So I've had to build these fake benches out of wooden planks and iron pieces. And then, yeah, bit finicky. So I just cloned them over from the last station to save some time, save some effort. And yeah. Don't know if there's anything else I need to talk about specifically. I've got these signal blocks here. They're all set to the same level, which obviously isn't that realistic, but they're only here for decorative purposes. And if that's the case, if this was like a real theme park as well, like, we wouldn't actually be using these signals. It's all completely automated or run by computers or whatever. Like, we wouldn't need signals, but it just adds to the immersion that this is like a rustic steam railway. So there we are. And I also covered up the operator as well, you might have seen, just because it doesn't look that realistic. It's a steam train. It's a bit weird to have someone sitting there at a digital control panel apparently controlling the train, even though that's the reality of the situation, at least in my headcanon for this park. Another time-saving move that I made for not just this station, but also the last station I built in last episode, was that in reality, there would be some screens up that would show the departure times and arrival times, things like that. And I could not be bothered to go into Photoshop and make some custom departure board signs. So instead, I just used the monorail departure signs and just called it a day. I think I used the queue time sign as well. But yeah, for the most part, it's got those departure boards that are just there for the monorail. Just because it's like, from a distance it looks serviceable, and that's good enough for me. Here I'm now I've built some of the pathway infrastructure and finished the layout of the railway track. I know better now how to fence off the boundaries of this flying coaster. So now I'm just sort of adding all the fencing, making sure there's no way for guests to accidentally wander off the path, go through grass, and end up getting decapitated by some roller coaster. So yes, every single part of the paths in this theme park, there's no way for guests to wander off the path and onto like a grassy area and go through that area and eventually end up in a ride zone. Every single area that you shouldn't be going into is completely fenced off. There are a couple of caveats to this. I feel like I say that a lot, don't I? I'll go in and saying, this is what I want to do. But guys, there are a couple of ways in which this sucks, But there are a couple of caveats, and that is, literally there are two caveats. It's this train station I'm building here, and the other train station I built, because there's no way for me to gate off the part of the perimeter that the train tracks go through. But I feel like it's very obvious enough that you shouldn't be going down there. Like, you'd have to literally board the train station, jump onto the railway tracks, and then run down through the gap in the fence that the train would pass through. And someone would probably notice if you did that, I would like to think. So I don't think it matters too much. But I don't really know what real theme parks do. By the way, this sign is terrible, isn't it? This is going to go, but I was experimenting with a few different versions of possible signs I could use, and this is the one I went with. It won't stay bright yellow, but it will be this particular sign. And there we are. I think that looks pretty good. And I think this train station came out all right, actually. But yes, going back to what I was just talking about, that's kind of the two ways in which I didn't quite achieve what I wanted to achieve. In fact, there is another. I built a hotel later on in this series, and guests of this hotel can wander off onto the surface. So basically, I mentioned earlier in this episode, in fact, hey, that works out pretty well. There's going to be a bus that takes guests from the car park to the hotel, and that road that bus runs along, that road then becomes the service road that goes around the backstage areas of the park, etc., etc. There's a big sign saying, warning, no unauthorized access beyond this point, but a guest, in theory, could wander past those signs and go down the service road and end up in the backstage area of rides. But again, I'd like to think there'd be CCTV cameras and staff around that could pick up on that, and that wouldn't happen in real life. Or it wouldn't happen in this park. It would happen in real life. Here you can see we're building this little area here. We're now going to crossfade across to the completion of that area, because that area is going to change. This was just put there as a placeholder because I want a seating area there. I don't want to focus on it right now, though. I just want to finish off fencing off the railway station and indeed linking this pathway to the Dragon Coaster's fencing. So yeah, I placed some benches down and some umbrellas and thinking like, yeah, this will be fine. But then I look back and think, looks a bit naff. So maybe I didn't at the time set off to make this a temporary structure. I decided, you know what, this is going to be a temporary structure. I'm going to change it and make it look, good. But yeah, here you can see me just placing fencing, and I've already kind of explained what I'm doing, right? I'm just making sure that there's no way in which guests can stray from the path and enter a ride area by accident, and I've got nothing else interesting to say about that. I guess there's always the argument that you could say, well, that fence is very low, someone could just jump over it. And I'm like, a fence is only like so secure. Anyone with enough determination can just jump over anything pretty much. There has to be some sort of boundary where you're like, look, this is very obviously somewhere you're not supposed to go. You're not supposed to climb over this fence into the woods, so don't do it. And if someone does do that, then it's kind of on them at that point. I guess if we want to really protect ourselves from litigation, we can put some signs up saying, warning, danger of death, ride area, etc. But there's no way to elegantly do that in the stock game. I'm aware that a lot of players who build realistic parks using Theme Maker's Toolkit, which for those that don't play this game, Theme Maker's Toolkit is basically mods. There are mods that add things like do not enter ride area signs, etc. But like, I don't know, I really like this is not me like now dissing anyone that plays with Theme Maker's Toolkit, but for me, I'm like, I just like the challenge of trying to make a Planet Coaster park not look like it was made in Planet Coaster using all the stock parts without any sort of Theme Maker's Toolkit things. And I like to think that this part looks pretty good. Like this part in particular, like the fencing around the what's it called? First Flight. I think it looks really good. It doesn't look like stock Planet Coaster. And that's just really satisfying to me. Like, yeah, I could have achieved it in far more easily and in far fewer parts by using Theme Maker's Toolkit. But for me, it's like, that's not the point. That's not why I like playing this game. Well, actually, none of this is why I like playing this game. I like playing this game because I love theme parks and I love the idea of being able to build my own theme park. And yeah. And I just like, I don't know, I get such immense satisfaction from just seeing things come together. Like, it's my favorite genre of game. Like, look at my channel, Kerbal Space Program. That's building things and watching them all come together. And I got super into OpenTTD last year. No, that was this year, I think, wasn't it? I guess, no, it was last year for you guys, because this episode will be coming out in 2023 if the upload schedule goes to plan. So, yeah, I got super into OpenTTD, and just like over the years, like throughout my life, I've just loved creative games like Rollercoaster Tycoon 3, Rollercoaster Tycoon 2, SimCity 3000, Trains with a Z. That's just what it was called. I bought it from Asda, which was like our equivalent of Walmart for you Americans watching. I was a sophomore at the time. I actually have no idea. I was like I think I was like 11 or 12. I have no idea. It was like basically Train Simulator, but it was just called Trains with a Z. It was a great game, but I really liked it. But yeah, I played that a bunch because I loved just building railway layouts and I played Disney Coaster as well, which I think was a reskin of a game called Ultimate Rollercoaster or something like that. But yeah, Disney Coaster, I had loads of fun building things. I've always enjoyed basically designing things and seeing them come together. And so Planet Coaster is sort of the culmination of all that innovation going into the coaster building, theme park building genre. I could never get into Planet Zoo though, to be fair. I don't know. I just don't really like zoos. I never really went to zoos as a child or generally ever. And also zoos are kind of a bit of a dirty thing, aren't they? Like, oh, not literally. Obviously, they literally are because of all the poo. and also like, yeah, they're like, oh, kind of cruel, isn't it? And yeah, I've heard that Planet Zoo does do things very tastefully, that they do fully acknowledge the ethical problems associated with zoos. So I can't really hold that against the game. It's just not really for me. And I owned the game. I played it. Me and Beth like sat down and played the game together. And I built this little ostrich enclosure and I was like, oh, there we are. And I pressed unpause on the game and all the ostriches like just jumped over my fences and started terrorizing the guests. And that was like I blame the game. I don't think it was me being bad, right? It couldn't possibly be that. Here you can see me building some covers for the little bollards to the entrance of the train station. You'll notice we do this a lot actually in this game, and that is just covering up the stock weird coloured bollards at the entrance of rides, because a couple of reasons. A, they look kind of ugly, don't they? And B, again, I'm trying to make the game not look like it was built in Planet Coaster. Like this almost looks like a concept render from an official park source. That's what we're going for there. Here you can see we're just placing down these signs here. These signs are just the queue times. Because if you go to any theme park really, or a big theme park, there'll be billboards dotted around that tell you the queue time for certain rides. And that's what I made there basically. And yeah, here we're just placing some lighting down. Yeah, I never really like placing down lampposts and stuff. So what I do is I tend to just work on building areas in the park for ages and then be like, okay, I need to now adapt this so it works at night as well. So then I just set the daylight level to nighttime. Great sentence there. And then I just go around placing lampposts until it all looks satisfactory. And I think it looks pretty good there. And I realised here, whilst I was doing all of this, that the Dragonflight sign could do with a little bit of illumination. So I set this little floodlight thing into that bush. And then I thought, well, it would be nice if that little dragon sitting on top of the castle is all lit up as well. So yeah, that's what I did there. And yeah, oh my goodness. So speaking of the dark, all those years ago earlier in this video, I mentioned that, hey, we've got daylight savings time now. And yeah, I cycle to work, as I've probably said quite a few times in this series, just in general on this channel. And it's now dark when I leave work. That was where I was building up to for that entire thing about day. Oh, what a travesty, what a mess of a video this has been. I'm just going to carry on talking over the POV now because I need to get this out of my system. Yeah. It's now pitch black when I leave work, which is a shame. So I've got these big bright lights. I've got a big bright light on the front of my bike, big bright light on the back of the bike, and I have this mirrored jacket. It's ultra reflective. Like if someone shines their headlights on me, I'm just like a white glow. So it's just super easy to see. And yeah, but that doesn't change the fact that it is kind of unnerving, By the way, I'm now doing the final seating area here. I mentioned that's going to go. It's gone. Now I'm going to finish the final thing. Yeah, it's still a little bit unnerving, It's pitch black around me. From today was awful. I'm super snuggly right now. I'm wearing my nice comfy slippers. I've got my nice... Actually, I'm drinking a Fanta Zero. I feel like if I drink a nice warm tea when doing these videos, I just fall asleep. So I've got my nice cold Fanta Zero. But aside from that, I've got my nice snuggly pajamas on, my nice snuggly slippers. I'm just ready to just lose consciousness after this commentary. I'm all snuggly. But yeah, it was a bit of a tiring bike ride home. It was all downhill, but the wind was blowing directly against me, so it was really, really treacherous. There was very, very high wind, very, very high rain. It was horizontal rain. I was having to wear goggles in order to see, and I could barely see, really. Hello, Beth, by the way, still watching this video, now probably horrified of this. But yeah, it was just something that happened. I think at the time I had something to talk about with this, but it's been so long. I don't remember what I planned to say. I think I'm giving myself a pat on the back just for remembering that after all of that, that's one of the things I wanted to talk about. So yeah, there's nothing more to say about that, really. I did mention, I think last episode, that I'm riding on my little budget Voodoo bike, my Halford Special, and I was thinking about, should I continue throwing money at it, repairing it, or should I get a better bike? Well, it's going to get turned into the shop on Saturday. They're going to replace the bottom bracket, and I think once I pick it up, I'm going to say to them, now you've had a little go at it, you've checked this, checked that. Should I continue throwing money at this thing, or should I just retire it and get a better bike? So, yeah, I'll let you guys know. Speaking of bikes, by the way, I heard some guy today wants to cycle to the South Pole. He's going to start at the coast, or where else would you start, of the Antarctic continent, cycle to the South Pole, and then cycle away again. And I saw his bike, and this is now the weirdo cyclist in me. I was like, wow, he's just running a normal bike. That's a chain and a normal chain ring at the back, a cassette. Why would you not run a carbon belt, right? It's below freezing temperatures. Surely a carbon belt is going to be far more resilient than a chain. And he's got hydraulic disc brakes as well. I'm like, sure, the hydraulic fluid is going to freeze or not work that well at that low temperature. Surely you want as basic of a bike as possible. And it's a steel bike. It's made of steel. Like, surely you want a lightweight, like maybe not carbon, but like aluminium at least holds up pretty well to low temperatures. So yeah, that's just something that no one relates to that I saw in the news this week. Hey, speaking of this week, Falcon Heavy launched today. Where are we now? Oh my goodness, it's 9:15. I'm so sorry, Beth, who's watching Friends downstairs, I think. I said, oh, it'll be like half an hour just doing some work and we can have dinner at like 8:30, and now here we are. So yeah, it's 9:15 for me right now. And yeah. Falcon, sorry, I just blanked out for a second. Falcon Heavy launched at 1:30 for me today. So 1:30, 2:30, 3:30, 4:30, 5:30, 6:30, 7:38. So yeah, 7 hours ago. The first Falcon Heavy launch in 3 years. That was pretty cool. Hey, it worked. I mean, it wasn't like as exciting as it could have been, right? Because the central core was expended, as was planned. It wasn't like an accident, like a lot of Falcon Heavy flights recently. But yeah, it would have been. I'd love to see a Falcon Heavy flight where all 3 Falcon 9 first stages are all successfully recovered. That's my dream. That's what I hope for one day. But the absolute pinnacle of Falcon 9 launches, Falcon Heavy launches I should say, would be all 3 cores land on a drone ship. So the 2 side booters land on drone ships, and then ahead of them, the central core lands on another drone ship. It'll never happen because SpaceX have 1 drone ship on the west coast and 2 drone ships on the east coast, and that's it. So there's no area where they have 3. So that's a bit of a shame. Oh my god, it's the end of the video. Oh, goodbye.